Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Meridian Empire in Space. Meridian is brought to you by Omniscape Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and games generally run about 60 to 120 minutes. In the 22nd century, explorers from Earth detected a previously unknown system, Meridian. Some brave souls decided to assemble an expedition, leaving Earth to colonize this newfound mystery. Early colonies reported incredible findings in the Meridian star system, with seemingly impossible number of habitable planets, rich with resources. As society started to settle, the United Forces of Earth planned a second, more involved excursion to Meridian. However, before the excursion could depart, all contact with Meridian suddenly disappeared, and the star vanished from the sky. Centuries later, you, against competing expeditions, will need to discover and colonize Meridian, if you can. Meridian is a 4X light strategy board game, streamlining all elements of space travel and empire building into an experience anyone can pick up and play. Players struggle for control of the Meridian star system. The game ends when all planets and moons are claimed or a single player has presence across the entire board. Players will then battle to demonstrate the most presence in all 8 sectors of the board. So let's start with the main board. You have the Meridian system. This is where you'll be navigating and colonizing planets and so forth. Now, there are 8 sectors, and they're all divided by the different triangles, so to say, around the main board. They're even numbered and so forth. Now, each of those sectors is defined by quadrants, and you have 4 quadrants in each of those. And whenever your ship is in a quadrant, that's how you're moving throughout the system. And when you're in orbit around a planet or a moon, you just have to be in one of the adjacent quadrants around it. And presence in the game, what that means is that you have ships and colonies scattered throughout the 8 different sectors of the main board. That's one of the game and triggers. So energy is your main resource in the game. You'll be using it quite frequently to do any number of things. But you start the game with a number of cells which can be reused throughout the course of all the different rounds. And then you have charged energy, which is one and done. And you can create charged energy to store up for later turns if you need to by spending 2 cells and gaining 1 charged. So on your turn, you're going to be spending this energy to do various things. You're going to be moving your ships, you're going to be colonizing planets, you're going to be creating various things and engaging in battle. So moving your ships, you have fighters and you have frigates. Obviously, you're going to start the game with the smaller fighter ship, and you can build frigates later. But you spend 1 energy to move your fighter 2 spaces, or you can spend 2 energy to move your frigate 2 spaces, or quadrants, I should say. And colonizing. There's all kinds of planets and moons to discover in Meridian. So as you move into orbit around them, you will grab either the moon or you'll grab a planet card. And you're gonna have to pay the cost to colonize it. And at the start of the game, you're gonna start with 2 colonies in your color on your ship. And as you progress through the game, you can build more colonies and so forth. Again, spending energy to do so. So, be it either planets or moons, you'll have to pay the cost in order to colonize it. Once you do, you'll place one of your colonies on that world or moon. And for planets, planets do have a maximum number of colonies that you can place there. It's shown in pips around the side of the planet as well as defined on the card. So you have to pay the energy that it calls for, and then you're going to gain 2 new cells in the case of Barlow, but it's going to vary from planet to planet how many new cells that you're going to gain. But this is how you're going to build up your energy supply, as well as building charged energy when you create specific amounts of energy for maybe later use, like I said before. Now, each of these planets is going to have some benefit as well. They're all going to be very different and aid you through the course of the game. Moons are definitely limited. It will cost you 2 energy to colonize, and you'll gain 1 cell when you do so. It still adds to your overall energy total, but moons are not going to give you as much, and you can ever only put 1 colony there. So the cards are still under development, and I'll give you a quick glimpse of what the new versions are going to look like straight from the rule book, but they definitely are adding new things to this game, so definitely keep an eye on the campaign. So creating is a big part of everything you're going to be doing in this game. You're going to be creating new colonies, ships, and so forth. So if you're on a friendly planet with a colony already there, it will cost you 1 energy to create a new one. If you're on a ship, you'll have to spend 2 energy to create a colony. And then of course you can convert energy. You can spend 2 cells to create a stored energy or charged energy. And then for ships, to create another fighter, that will cost you 4 energy, and to create a frigate, which is going to have the capacity to have 3 colonies on it, will cost you 6 energy to do so. So combat is a big part of what you're doing. You might be doing it to stop someone from gaining the lead, you might be doing it in spite, or to steal resources. So it's really just a matter of numbers again. If I spend 4 energy against your 2 energy for doing defense and attack and shield strikes and so forth, then out of those 4 that I used, 2 get removed and 2 make it through. And whoever takes the hits, let's say, they can decide how that gets distributed between the ship and the colonies on the planet, and you might remove 1 from the ship and 1 from the planet. It's just going to vary based on what you need to do. You don't want to leave a ship empty in space. And if you ever lose a planet, well then an event is going to get triggered. And that might be a reason to move in and help someone who's in the middle of a battle. This is an opportunity to negotiate with players, again, to help aid you in your time of need. But events can trigger all kinds of various things and can last for multiple rounds, or they might just be a one-time use, or they could be an infinity use. All kinds of different ways the events can go, but there are reasons to hold on to planets and keep them from being destroyed, because events do come into play. And so that's the basics of play. Again, the key here is energy. You really need to colonize worlds to gain energy. Absolutely. It is the key to everything you're doing. Now, there are multiple things going on here as you try to win this game. There's a couple different paths. There's domination and there's federation, 2 different ways. And the big one that you're trying to get is presence in all 8 sectors. If you have presence, the first one to do so, that's going to end the game in domination. And you'll take the victory point tokens and place them around the middle of the board. Then you have one last round, and the rest of the players have a chance to gain those tokens back from you. Yes, back from you. They try to ruin or destroy your presence in a sector. If they do, they'll gain one of those tokens. And so that victory token that you stole then has to be placed next to a planet, a moon, or a frigate that you control. Other players could still come after it, but really the main goal here is to go after that dominating player. And if more than 4 are stolen, well then the game comes to an end and you count up the victory points, and whoever has the most wins the game. Now, the Federation ending. If all the moons and planets are colonized, that will trigger this ending. Or if one player sadly has lost all their colonies, that will also trigger it. Or perhaps you're just out of time for the night. That's another way that you can bring this game to an end. Now, the thing that's different here is that all the players will count up their presence in Meridian, and the player with the least amount of presence will get 1 victory token, and the player with the next will get 2, and so forth and so on. And what you'll do with those tokens is much like the other ending, where you'll take them and put them next to planets, frigates, or moons that you own. And then it's up to the players in the last round to try to gather as many of those as possible. And in the end, again, it's all about victory points. Whoever has the most will be the ultimate emperor over Meridian. Alright folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, this is a 4X game, but it is a light 4X game, which was really easy to engage with my family, who really isn't into these types of games. And I really like the fact that they have this tactile experience with the colonies, pulling them off of ships and putting them on planets. But really, the fun is the energy consumption and how you deal with that and the choices around it. But folks, ultimately, if this looks like something that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.